Hi, you found Vella. This is Azrielle Lawless, and you found Lawless Reads. And what is Vella? It is a channel where we talk about all things to do with the new reading platform from Amazon Kindle called Kindle Vella. It's a place where you can read epic stories, one episode at a time, just like you watch television. And anyone with an Amazon account can get there. Just go into any browser, type in Kindle Vella, and it will take you to a place where you can look through hundreds of thousands of stories now and read the first 3 episodes of any of them for absolutely free. And today I'm going to be reading you episode 1 of one of my very favorite Vella stories. It's one of the first ones I ever found, one of the best authors out there as far as I'm concerned. This is called Dark Family Secrets, and it is by author Hoyt Hallford, who writes about some of the weirdest stuff. It's just, it's urban fantasy fiction at its finest. And the reason I'm dressed like this is because the heroine of our story, the octogenarian vampire, Betsy Dark, is a woman to be emulated. Let me tell you that. So again, without further ado, this is episode 1 of Dark Family Secrets on Kindle Vella by Hoyt Hallford. Episode 1, when Mrs. Wilson knocked Betsy's dentures out. This Saturday is the first time anyone in Shermer, Oklahoma has witnessed 2 80-plus-year-old women go toe-to-toe in the boxing ring at the Madison County Fair. Everyone expected Mrs. Wilson to be in fine form at the opening bell, her new hip helping her dodge and weave. Betsy Dark came out slow, but still reeling from judging the blueberry buckle contest moments before the fight. It had been a rough judging this year. There were 3 preliminary rounds, then the finals with 12 participants. It took 3 bites to truly obtain each morsel of nuance in a buckle. One had to savor it. No honest judge would try to rush the process. It was time-consuming and filling. The bell rang and Jane Wilson rushed in, arms raised in a defensive stance. She danced to the left with an experimental jab. "Now, Jane, is all this necessary?" Betsy asked, blocking the jab. She let out an unladylike blueberry buckle belch. "Excuse me," she said as she countered with a left jab feint and a lightning-fast right cross. The punch gently grazed Jane's nose. Mrs. Wilson was surprisingly fast for a woman of her age and girth. She was fast, but she was not as fast as Betsy Dark. We're only doing this because you're a cheat and a fraud," Jane panted as she danced to her left. "You never beat me in the cook-offs until you got back from Europe 2 years ago. You stole somebody's recipe," she accused. The shock of this barb caused Betsy Dark to stop bobbing and weaving. She lowered her gloves and said, "Gracious, Jane, is that why you're so angry? I'll show you the recipe." As Betsy stood still and lowered her defenses, Mrs. Wilson saw the opportunity and slid in low with a deadly uppercut. Boom. She struck the undefended Betsy Dark just below the chin, snapping her head back and causing her false teeth to shoot up into the air. The crowd gasped as they watched the set of teeth fly higher, twirling end over end like a beautiful pearl necklace. As the glistening teeth reached their apex, Betsy waved her hand and muttered unheard words. The teeth froze in their motion, poised on the edge of descent. Jane Wilson was frozen as well, staring at the teeth. The onlookers were also motionless. The only movement at the Madison County Fair was Betsy Dark, as she fumbled with her boxing gloves to retrieve another set of dentures from the pocket of her yellow cardigan sweater. This pair had elongated canines like the vampire teeth you get at Halloween, only medical grade. Betsy learned the trick of stopping time a few months after returning from Europe a couple of years ago. It was a nifty trick in a pinch, like when the soup is about to boil over and the biscuits are ready to come out of the oven, and her granddaughter walks into the kitchen starkers holding a soiled diaper in her pudgy little hand. Times like that, it was helpful to be able to pause everything, take a moment, and tidy up a bit. That's what Betsy did now. She paused time, took a moment, and cleaned up a bit. "Thank you, my dear. I prefer these anyway," Betsy said as she inserted the set of teeth and rushed to Mrs. Wilson's side, where she delicately bit her neck and drained her of a sizable part of her blood. After drinking her fill, Betsy wiped her mouth on the hanky, returned her special dentures to her pocket, then waved her hand and muttered under her breath. As she fell, Betsy delivered a wild haymaker with her right glove, catching Mrs. Wilson on the tip of her nose. It appeared to be a reflex after she received the wicked uppercut. The crowd came to life as Jane and Betsy both collapsed. Betsy's pearly whites finished their descent, clattered between Betsy and Jane. The crowd roared, both at the surprise of a simultaneous knockout and the absurdity of two octogenarians trying to beat the snot out of each other because of a county fair barbecue cook-off. They were unaware that Betsy Dark had just stopped time and drained half the blood of Jane Wilson. Jane would wake with a fierce headache and hopefully be less inclined to pop off with silly challenges. Betsy collected her dentures, shook a now conscious, blurry-eyed Mrs. Wilson's hand, and skipped out of the boxing ring. Things like this happened to Betsy all the time. One more incident in a long list of Dark family secrets. Because, dear reader, our sweet little Betsy Dark is a vampire. No kidding. Now, one of the neat things about Kindle Vella is that they have this little section down here where you have a note from the author. And I'm going to read you this one, part of it anyway. A note from the author. "Thank you so much for reading the first episode of Dark Family Secrets." Says, and then we move on to episode 2, where we learn the story of how this sweet little grandma becomes a vampire at the age of 85. I hope you continue to read more about Betsy Dark and her strange little world of Shermer, Oklahoma. Along the way, we will meet hoodlums up to shenanigans, vampire drifters looking for a shakedown, and explore a hundreds-of-year-old romance story. All these episodes add up to a roller coaster ride as we learn all of the Dark family secrets. Well, that's it. I hope you've enjoyed this, and please go out and see Hoyt Hallford's Dark Family Secrets story. He also has several other stories. And again, we're going to have Hoyt on here with us in Lawless interviews in a couple of weeks. So thanks very much. Bye-bye.